Hey, welcome everybody back to another episode of the Fireman Shit Podcast by West Coast Offense. With you as always, I got Mark Carcamo, Colin Kelly. I'm Cameron Monahan. We have two guests today out of LA City Fire, John Paxton, retired out of LA City Fire, John Paxton and Greg Malaise. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning.
We just got a whole bunch of questions for you, John and Greg. I'm going to right into the first one. Maybe we'll start with you, John. The first question we have, maybe just give us your quick bio, years on the job, years in each rank, any assignments that you had in LA City.
Okay. Well, I came on in 1980, the infamous class. I was in the August class. Now the December class was the one that was known as the convict class, because so many of them ended up being terminated and sent to jail. uh, let's see. I was a fireman for 8 years. I made engineer in '88, and then I promoted to captain in '98, and I was I promoted to captain one out of Fire Station 11. I got on a bus and went up 7th Street and got off at Nines, and that was my first assignment as a boot captain was Engine 9. And then I made two in 2008, and I retired in 2015.
Awesome, awesome. Greg, years on the job, years in each rank, any assignments?
Basically the same as John. Came on in 1980, came class after him. A little over 6 years as a fire, 12 years as an AO, 18 years as a captain. Retired in first part of 2017. And basically the core of my career was downtown Los Angeles, Battalion 1 and Battalion 11, if anyone knows the area. That's it. Nothing exciting.
Good deal. Good deal. Hey, I'm going to ask you some questions. Just either one of you answer them, both of you answer them, however you
Hey,
want to do it.
Cam, is it possible for them to just thinking about the listener who's not familiar what a two is? Can one of you expound upon what a Captain One, Captain Two, how that works within your organization?
What do you want? You want the history of it?
Just what the differences are, what a Captain One, Captain Two, all that type of thing, because it's atypical to the rest of the fire service, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So, John, you answer it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, it's a pay grade advancement. It's the captain on the fire truck, the captains on the fire engine, or a captain one, which is the base level that everyone that promotes a captain goes into, and then the truck captain has to pass a pay grade advancement test, and then he's a truck captain. The truck captain in a multi-company station is the station commander.
You hear that ACR, that those initials TFC attached to that? What does that entail, Cap?
Task Force Commander.
And you guys, your department is pretty unique in that respect as well, correct?
I would say was, but yes, you're correct. As you know.
Can you, I mean,
No,
we don't have to get all the way down the rabbit hole on it, but I mean, educate the listener to how that breaks down.
It's unfortunate that we don't go down the rabbit hole because
Well, then go down the rabbit hole.
the reason the task force concept is going away, and John will say this, he's helping a guy in Texas to try to come up with something similar, is the fact that, oh God, okay, so the original was the deputy chief that was running the watch riots, and the term task force has been around for a long time. So it's taking different resources, putting them together for a task. It was supposed to be a temporary thing, right? But so he did it at the watch riots, which you can imagine they were overwhelmed. So, and we only had 16 battalion chiefs on duty at the time. So 100 fires going with 16 battalion chiefs. So they had to figure out something. So they figured out how to have this configuration of resources and command. And then that guy ended up becoming the fire chief a year later. And he ended up doing a whole bunch of stuff that was really good for the fire department. But the task force concept he brought into the fire stations with the fire trucks. And so that command structure was, you basically, like when you're studying for command positions, and they say 3 to 5 layers, 3 to 5 resources that you can really handle pretty easily. And that's kind of what it was. So the truck captain was in charge of the station and at least another officer. So there was a direct subordination there. And then, of course, the station captain subordinate to the chief officer. But yeah, I would say, now I'm going to get on my soapbox here and shock you guys, that every fire department, like you said, and every fire, they have fire trucks and fire engines and really good, sharp firefighters. So what's the difference? Why does LA City think that they're, and they do have a good reputation of being really good at structure firefighting and stuff. And that's the only thing I can come up with is it's got to be the configuration in that task force that makes us better at our strategy and tactics on the scene of a fire, My opine.
I'll just add a little bit in there if I can.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I think the reason or the way that we configure our firefighters in Los Angeles is what allows us to deal with the challenges of 477 square miles, but to do it with only 3,000 firefighters, 3,000 uniformed members, where according to the NFPA, major metropolitan fire department, we're extremely understaffed.
Mm-hmm.
But the task force concept allows for us to be, we can expand, it's made up of a ladder truck and 2 engines, one engine having 4 people on it, a captain, an engineer, and 2 firefighters. And then the 200 series, which is the exact same type of engine as the engine in the task force. That now the 200 just has an engineer on it. The engine gets dispatched out on basic, cars and trash. It'll be the first one up for EMS, and then the pump stays behind. So because we just have dry sticks, so that pump then is water for that light force. So we can pull up on scene and do engine work if that's what's required as a fire attack team. And the task force allows for 10 people to show up on scene and go to work, able to do engine work and truck work simultaneously together, and all under the command of one person. The drawbacks, I think, to a lot of these fire departments that have a 3-man engine company is they show up and every third person is an incident commander, where the task force has 10 folks that train together. They're all familiar with each other's SOGs as it applies to truck and to engine work. And you can get a lot of work done with it when the task force rolls up on scene.
I guess efficiency would be the word. It's more efficient use of the resources.
Right. I agree.
Absolutely. Seems to coincide with NFPA 1710 and their whole minimum, you show up with fewer apparatus with more people on it versus more apparatus with fewer people on it. You're going to get more work done earlier on with the heavier amount of personnel on fewer apparatus.
Right.
But, Colin, so we know that those first resources that show up, they make or break the incident.
Absolutely.
We've been on both sides of those where, it's screwy and then you're playing catch up the whole incident, or it starts off right and then it ends up being a successful incident,
Yeah. And then, Colin, those folks that aren't familiar with LA City, we use the term Captain 1 and Captain 2. It's the Captain 1 is, we just don't have lieutenants.
Roger. Okay.
And so, and it's all, I think it all came about because we have single engine houses where that officer is the station commander in a single engine house. So they're saying, well, here, she
But to be clear, they Captain one, and there is a hierarchy and a command structure between two and one.
yes.
And that carries on too. Also remember when they run with another company, that one on that particular company, if it's a single engine, they come into an incident, they still have to basically relay their information. I would say the big thing is that that station commander will be the commander until he's relieved by a chief officer. So he will run that other and not run that company's operation. However, give them the assignment and that kind of stuff so people realize. You're not going to come up with a Captain 1 off an engine and he's going to come over and take over for a Captain 2 that's already there. It doesn't happen that way.
And there's no delay in that truck company crew. Say you arrive as a task force first due. You have all your staffing there to initiate engine work, truck work. That Captain 2, no chief's there yet. So you two were doing the size up, placing these companies, so to speak. But the SOG takes place and that roof team is off and running off your truck without you. Were there ever any difficulties with that, and or clearly you had to have well-trained and you had to trust your people to execute that until you played? I'm assuming you would play catch up.
Okay, for me, we get on scene and your firefighters have to throw the ground ladders. They're doing forcible entry while the engine company's laying a line and coming up. And in that short piece of time, the AO is putting up the aerial. In that short piece of time, you can give your size up, tell people where you want them to go, place them. You can ask for additional resources if that's what your brain is telling you, what you're looking at. Name the incident if that's what you're going to do, and then you're off the rig at the same time that your firefighters are coming back to the rig to load the pedestal, and the AO's done with the aerial, and we're ready. Grab your own hook, get up there, and be with your team when you're going up there. You can. I know there's issues with the NFPA on that, on command post, because it has, if you have an engine that's first on scene, that guy's the IC. And then when that truck pulls up, it automatically goes to that Captain 2. That one doesn't say I'm passing command. It automatically goes to that Captain 2. But, and then NFPA says you're supposed to monitor 3 radios and be at a fixed command post.
Yeah.
That's up to the individual's got to make that decision on what the incident is that they're looking at. Where's my crew going to go? What do we have to do? And I don't believe that you can sit on that rig and play fire chief like behind it with behind a Suburban. You have to do your thing, get it out there, and be ready when your guys are when your guys are ready to go.
May I?
Yep.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that is a definite 2 schools of thought, and it's overwhelming in today's LA City Fire Department anyway. The other side, these guys are sitting on that rig like they're an administrator, and and me and John we were working captains. We understood the importance of, and Mark has said it before, it's about, hey, that guy's the tip of the spear, the guy that drives that fire truck. And if you don't support him by your presence, then he's just taken on that burden of shit. Not only do I have to do, the watch my guys, the ventilation, the this, the that, the other thing, get hose line up there, blah, blah, blah. All the stuff that a Captain 2, that's a working Captain 2 does for him. It frees him up to just concentrate on his job. And, but like I said, I've argued the point where I can handle a first alarm assignment. If I get off the rig I look at, no, I'm not going to look at all four sides of that structure, but I get a lot bigger picture than from that cab. So I can understand exactly, hey, what do I want? What do I need?
I asked that question because literally you alluded to it, Cap Malay. They are placing this ICS burden upon first arriving company officers, and in some instances, individuals are choosing that versus getting water on the fire and or whatever other task. And it's really it's in conflict right now with,
It's a
we know that we don't need ICS if we get that line to the fire.
Yeah.
90% of the time, yet guys are actually, first few engine captains are staying in the seat, passing their people off to some other crew they don't even know.
Yeah.
I'll never do it, by the way, if my bosses are
good
listening.
for you.
And they are now, like you said, Captain Lake, running the fire as if they're a battalion chief. And it's just, man, so I really wanted to ask you guys about that situation, because were you ever in a suit where the chief was extremely delayed and you were running it for a lot longer than you're used to?
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. When I was trying to form my operation, and it was dealing around with this cab thing, and I was pulled up on scene, light force on scene, a Victorian top floor converted attic going like a bomb. And light force, we were there because we were out shopping, and so we were on it really quick. So we were performing fire attack. I got off the truck, and that was back in the day. We only had one radio, right? So I was on the fire ground, and I got off the rig to go get a look down the back side of this thing because it had a great giant oak tree in the front that was blocking our laddering in the front. And I missed the next truck coming in, dropped off the call, told dispatch, we're unable to respond because we're training and our rookie's tired. I mean, this thing's throwing a monster loom up, I'm just thinking to myself, man, if I had made that decision, my guys would have hanged me from the street light and then jump on the rig and go to the fire, So anyways,
that's
I missed a critical radio communication. And as people were coming in and I was placing them, I was really behind the eight ball because I kept looking for this truck company to show up and they never did. And ultimately, I had to put an engine company, match them with my BLS RA, with my two firemen to ladder and start to do truck work. And so that had an impact on me. How long am I gonna, how long do I have to stay in this cab and play administrator? And so it takes practice. Practice your craft and to get out my size up, get out how many more companies I need or whatever. Name a staging, do this, do that, and be off the rig. Have both of my radios with me. So now, if you can't place a B assignment and run in your head and run it off the rig while you're running to meet up with your guys, probably shouldn't have the job. But that's just, one of the things that were in this paperwork that you guys gave us was incidents that formed your routine, and that had a big impact on me. So I'm just saying there is for jumping off the rig right away and placing companies, there's a risk that's there if you're not tied into dispatch.
I would ask a question and that's for both of you guys. Do you think that in today's day and age, and I'm not just talking about our agency, but as a whole, that we put a lot of emphasis on people placing them, knowing that the order of arrival kind of gives that company coming in when I look at it, I say, I have a list of expectations, right? for my people, first off, that are operating under my command. Or in my case, hey, I had a roof guy, I had a tillerman. The inside guy was more engine stuff, but I had an expectation that they were going to get off and throw a ladder without me saying that. And I
Right.
think kind of the same thing happens with this. I think, and I know I'm going to get a lot of guff for this, but I think in the our world today, if you look at and see these guys sitting on the rig, and I've asked a few guys, hey, I mean, why is that? Well, get ready for the Mayday, and I go, are we putting so much emphasis on this bad thing happening that we've forgotten what good training does and reasonable expectations? Right. And I say that it's like I'm sitting on a cab waiting for something to happen, and they do happen. I'm not discounting that, but I do believe that guys start to lose focus of what that job is. And that is you're still a supervisor. You still have a company that you're responsible for. And the overarching thing is you're responsible for everybody on that incident until you're relieved from that guy. And
Right.
how do you accept that responsibility? Like Greg said, give a size up from the fucking cab, not get out of the cab and at least take a look around the building and go, I can be mobile with my radios. Now there's two, right? And then
100%.
my reasonable expectation would be second dude knows engine company, hey, you're gonna do fire attack. Second dude truck. I hope that you guys train and know that I expect if you have an aerial spot, that's going up, and that you ladder like you're the first company there, and whatever that assignment is given to you by that officer is you're adjuncting what's in place already and still being able to do those other things they may assign you. However, still thinking, hey, another supply line is a second engine from a different direction if possible, right? All these things are if possible. I get it. But I think that they put too much emphasis on this Mayday, like, hey, every fire is a Mayday. And I go, that means to me, I look at it and go, maybe you're saying that, hey, you know what? We know we've put people's in positions that they don't belong in.
It's a different attitude.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we've changed our focus on what we do about getting to work versus getting there and going, hey, something bad might happen. So, it's like, well, shit, I can go out on the street today and something bad might happen. It's like, I don't know.
Greg, you want to talk about that?
I was trying to get rid of a phone call that came in. Talk about what? I am paying attention. Well,
Well, first of all, as far as place and companies,
I'll go back to it's been happening for a while, John, because as an AO, I knew that, some of these first in truck companies would spot for a ladder pipe. I did not spot for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Unless it was like during the riots and the things fully involved, you spot for a ladder pipe, but you spot for the task at hand. And, it just, I'm not, because what happens when they teach these young guys to like go 2-3 steps forward, which that's good to have foresight, but no, your task at hand is very specific and you have to concentrate on that. You start interjecting other thoughts like that, then what are you giving up on this end right here? Like, I don't want to get into it, but the Boyd Street fire, me and Mark looked at the video. The driver had a video camera, so from the pedestal all the way to the egress, it's amazing the things that could have been different. That I say if me and Mark were on that roof would have been different.
It's become a common practice as the engine company stretching a line in on, say, a given whatever building. And what was just let me make sure that I get my crew to the seat of the fire, put it out, and make sure we come out of this building. Now I'm tasked within minutes I'm given a divisional assignment.
Yeah, that's silly. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time this occurs. And it's
And let's go back to, we always had a discussion, I won't say an argument about, so that second engine company, what do you tell them to do? I always I use the word assist. They use backup an awful lot because it's easy. It's just a thing that comes to mind, but it's what is that second company supposed to do? They're supposed to help the first company in layered effect to get their hose line on the fire. And if their hose line is on the fire, then you can all get second hose line on the fire. But I mean, it's they're taking away a lot of the, like you said, firemanship, the strategy and tactics that be employing or should be learning to employ.
Well, we talk a lot about that, about the the chief officer, whoever that may be, whether it's a captain sitting on the first due rig and his mind can't function fast enough to go, hey, hey, stay out there and stage until I need you. That just creates a whole cabal, right? And it's going to put a stop or not on a lot of forward progress on the fire, because we know how long it takes for somebody to reasonably come in, bring more water from another direction. Hey, hold up there in the staging, right? And it's like, the whole while though, the incident continues, right? That clock's ticking. And the danger starts to increase for every second that this thing continues to go on. And Colin and I kind of found out, that in a grander sense when you start looking, and we did the AAR, and we're, asking people about the time clock, the incident time clock. And do they make a mark in your head when you hear that? 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Those are time factors. And then you have this IC telling people, hey, hold up there, instead of, at the very least, the first alarm assignment should be able to come in. And I say that I was never an officer, but, and place itself, literally, right? It should be pretty much sheet music that you understand. We didn't beat them. They got fire attack. We're going to insist getting that hose line in there, get inside there, conduct that primary
The water
search.
supply, the water supply is
Yeah.
passed up so much lately. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I just, I think that's
Number one.
That's kind of what I think is in the fire service today is everything's like a mother may I. Hey, they didn't tell me to do that, and it's like, you're handcuffing people. You're taking away their thought process.
Yeah,
So, Mark,
you're
guys didn't know that me and you probably 10 times got chewed out for throwing our apparatus aerial without requesting permission to.
I know.
Yeah, and you can only argue so much common sense to these chiefs are like, I didn't tell you to do that. It's like, well, it takes a minute for a good guy like Mark, 3 minutes for a shitty AO. So do you really want to give up that time, or do you want to just get that aerial up with a guy that knows where it goes? They didn't. They wanted to be, you do what I say.
Yeah, I get that, because it's. But what were you going to interject, Cap Paxton?
I was just going to say that what you're saying is right. It should be that way. It should be that whole assignment is disciplined enough to know when they arrive what needs to be done, and go. Is it fire attack? Is it backup? Whatever it is that they're inside truck work, but that's not the case. That unfortunately. That's not the case. You need to throw it out there. I think we get too wrapped up on the initial size up stuff, trying to be so fine and put so much unnecessary information out there. If you're an officer and you are deploying your company across the threshold, you're telling everybody, I'm offensive. I'm putting people through that door, and you had better be with them. You had better not be outside blabbing on the radio. Same thing. A truck company gets up on any, I don't think that, Mark, you needed Greg up on the roof with you at a single family dwelling. But, we get at a commercial, we get anything that you need to be up there. That truck officer needs to be up there and needs to be with his crew. Now, in order to do that, you have to give radio communications that are quick and descriptive and gets to the point. If I'm an incoming engine company and I hear given a size up, or a truck company, what size ladder do I need to get to the roof? And am I going to bring my water from the outside via drop bag, or am I going to go off a standpipe? How many floor? That's all I really need to know. Look at how much fire do you have? That I don't need to know all this other stuff. And then we can go from there. And I know when I show up, if I'm an engine company, I'm bringing a second source of water. That is happening. And I just think that we get too wrapped up in try to make the job harder than what it already is.
I think if I could say one thing, it's like we try to overemphasize the ICS portion of it, right? Where we're and I don't discount what needs to happen there. However, the timing is everything on this, right? We know water on the fire is the main thing that we can do to mitigate this damn thing. And if
Right.
I'm sitting here giving a mile-long thing and then telling where staging is, and that's all bullshit. That's bullshit. The first aid companies don't need to know where staging is. I don't give a shit how big the fire is. They don't, right? Because I'm hoping that the first alarm assignment is going to come in and reasonably place itself appropriately and not sit out there waiting for somebody to tell them, okay, well, we don't have a staging officer, so we're going to make you a staging officer now. And it's like, to me, it's just counterintuitive of what happens at fires. And, you watch these things over and over again, and I'm just going, man, were we, I say that sometimes I look back and go, I don't ever remember being that discombobulated or sitting there waiting for somebody to tell me what to do. I was talking to Ronnie Villanueva recently, and I told him I still remember the first fire I drove him to up in 35's first in, and we went in and put the aerial up, right? And he was like, "Hey, Mark, hold up," and I go, "We don't do that. Tell us whatever you need us to do." But once that aerial's up, I've already adjuncted what's already taken place on that roof, whether it's first, second, third truck, whatever that is, it's just to help those guys, right? And it's and a lot of people aren't used to that. They're not used to that proactive spotting by anything. An engineer with his rig bringing water, right? Hey, who's it hurt to lay a line?
Yeah,
Not a
you
damn
have to be
person, right?
told to lay a line. That's same
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yes.
It's sad, but our books. Me and John actually did study for the captain's job, and our books were very clear. Brief on-scene report. I mean, if the first guy, when the first word of what you're supposed to do is the word brief, yeah. And then that secondary, of course, would be all the stuff the flowery stuff that these guys do nowadays.
Yeah.
It's a yellow, got white trim, marigolds in front, grass in the back, la di da di da.
Yeah. And it's you can only call what your eyes are telling you. You're sitting in front of this fire, you're looking at it. Okay, what's it telling me that it is? Bam, you give your size up, right? And then everybody's going to work. And if the situational awareness changes, you get up next to it and it's different. What's the big deal? You change it. You change the situational awareness so that everybody is aware of what the heck they're facing. We get too wrapped up on trying to be 100% perfect right off the get-go.
There's an emphasis, Captain Paxton, that's happening where there's a pressure or an emphasis put on this first due officer to know everything that's wrong with this problem right now.
Right.
And as to say, and it's what leads to this long-winded, oftentimes the ass end of the report is false because they don't have a full picture.
Right.
And just tell guys, you don't have to have it all figured out when you get there.
That's right.
Just give the brief size up on what the structure is, where the fire is, and make sure you got the resources coming and go to work.
And go to
But
work.
no, it's a working fire on the offensive with this. And it's probably you don't know if it's offensive or not yet. You're out in the street. Like,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
in general, there's such a pressure put upon us to have all the answers when it's impossible for us to have all the answers.
Right.
Well, you can't paint the perfect picture, but you have to let the dispatcher know if you need resources or if they need to move someone up. Those are the two pieces of information they need to know. And then your responding companies, you better know if it's a 3-story building and it's a center hallway or enclosed corridor or something like that. Those are big pearls of information. They don't need to know if it has exterior standpipes, if it has this or that, just because, as you said, there's a lot of times that we come in LA and some of the guys have promoted up through the ranks that maybe shouldn't have, and they have said something, and you get there, you go, Daddy, he described something completely different. When I was assuming what we were coming to is completely opposite of what we showed up at, you go, oh, that guy needs some remedial. And it's happened to all of us,
Mm-hmm. Well, another question, other than the fire ground, and maybe not only what the department's expectations were when you guys were company officers, but what your expectations were. What were your expectations of your job and role as a company officer when you were working?
You want to take that one, Greg?
Well, I mean, Are you talking leadership? Are you talking, okay, so leadership, well,
What were your expectations, Captain Malaise, to that Captain One?
I can't really say because I had higher expectations than most. So I would come in and I had high expectations for myself, and I had high expectations, but I never assumed that they would meet those expectations. It was just like, hey, I want perfection. I know it's really almost unattainable, but it doesn't matter. That's what I want to get at. That's why I train the way I train. That's why after an incident, we hash it out the way we hash it out. Is because it's like, hey, no, guys, in a perfect world, this is what we would hope we could accomplish. I mean, we're highly trained, highly paid, act like it. I mean, it's just, and like I said, I probably got something John doesn't have. Well, he may have, but I got sent to some shitty stations, like you mentioned Tomboy. I mean, that's a challenge. It's an experience I wish I didn't have, but it's a challenge having bad employees. Stop laughing, Colin.
So you had a tomboy on your crew? So, I mean,
well, it was a 9-man task force. So there was a rookie on the truck, and the only firefighter spot on the fire truck was a tiller, and this person couldn't tiller, so she was permanent engine. Made it quite the anchor. I mean, not the anchor, but it was tough. It was tough on me. We did a lot of stuff in the first month or so. Yeah.
I will ask a serious question about that. Hold on. I mean, do you think that you made, I never asked you this. Do you think you made an impact with that particular individual?
Well, I know I made an impact on the fire station. I know that. I've made an impact at every station I go to. I'm such a big mouth that, it goes beyond my shift, as you know. I mean, but I made an impact on her because I made her take her tongue ring out. I put her on the Fat Man's Club. I mean, how much, she couldn't sit.
You had to do it, didn't you, Mark?
Yeah. Hey.
I just asked you. Hey, inquiring minds want to know. I never asked them the question. I want to know what that impact is, because I say that and you go, some people change when they're impacted, right? They do. If something slaps you upside the head, a lot of us will have that thing, the foresight to go
influence people that want to be influenced. I mean, it's that's multi-layered kind of thinking, but you know what? The people that respond to those guys, the Kevin Franks out there that just, they want to be influenced. It's a good influence. They respond properly and they excel in their job,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she a deputy chief now, so I guess I did something right, huh? Really, really.
You set her on the path, Cap.
Set her on the path, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to talk bad about anyone, but there's a lot of people I could talk bad about because, because the guy I would talk bad about is that Captain 2. I walked into that fire station and that stuff was going on, and that Captain 2 didn't say one freaking word, not boo. I come in as a snot-nosed first day captain, and I'm like, what the hell? What the HE toothpick is going on here? This is some junk. And I did what I could to change it.
Cameron, can we jump to that question because he led right into it?
Hey, before we go on, I want to ask Cap Paxton.
Oh.
Did you ever have something like that, Cap, where you walked or had somebody put into your a particular firehouse and that kind of challenge came up for you?
Yeah, a couple of times. The one that sticks out in my mind was my last probationary firefighter at 33s. Alternate lifestyle that we didn't know, we didn't care. We got a rookie in, and here's the game plan. And this individual was not only was he a really bad rookie as far as effort, but he was defiant. And so that changed the entire day for the next handful of months that we had him. And it was hard because the crew, my crew was nothing but professional. They did everything they could to help this individual. And it got to the point where, you know, how we always had a proficiency exercise every shift for the rookie. I had taken this guy down to one proficiency exercise a segment. And the rookie police at what do they call them?
Quality assurance.
Quality assurance.
Quality assurance was adding to the rumor mill that I was overworking this guy. And it, to me, the thing that really, within the four walls, you can manage it and handle things within your four walls. But it's when the gold badges that are working out in the valley think they know something that's accurate, start spreading these rumors about your crew and your station. You know, they all have these drivers that their staff assistant, we called them back then. And that chief talks to that guy. And then that guy's chip out in these fire stations. And it got really rough. Tried to maintain all the training, because not only are you supposed to train that rookie, you have to continue training for all the members of your crew, continue to help them move forward to their highest potential on the fire department. So you have a lot of things that you're dealing with, and then of course, you know, you get the anonymous complaint against you and your crew of a hostile work environment. And so that's when, you know, it went from trying to train this one individual to now protecting my crew, you know, because if not me, they were gonna, after me, then they were gonna be going after the firefighters.
That seems like a trajectory that has continued on, and I say that it's almost like they want to take one person and let that person rule what happens in that day, and then as this thing snowballs down the hill, like because we're at right now with the LAFD, and that is we made a turn somewhere, right? We made a turn and determined that the minority would rule the majority, for lack of something better.
And tail's wagging the dog.
Yeah, perfect analogy. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, and it got to the point where, you know, at the start, the focus is on the probationary firefighter, right? And then after you get recommend termination from, you know, I continue to recommend termination on this guy, and then all of a sudden, the big chiefs are bringing all these civilians from the city attorney's office down, and all they're trying to do is intimidate you as the officer, you know, to change your evaluation. But it's not fair to your crew. It's not, you know, it's not fair to them for you to roll over and start saying, oh, well, hey, now they pass, when it's obvious that they didn't. You know, I know friends of mine that were Captain Twos, that they'd get a rookie, and that Captain Two would talk to his crew before that rookie came in and said, this kid's going to pass no matter what. That's bullshit, in my opinion. I mean, you have to, if you're the one that's in charge of calling balls and strikes, then you do that. All the way up until, you know, finally they go, oh, we're going to have to put this guy with a crew and a captain that's going to pass him. And they moved him over to a task force, and they got what they wanted, you know. And
so the outcome's written before, right? It's like the last page of the book before the book's ever published.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
The minute you start doing poor evals, they just move them to the next assignment.
They move them to the next guy. Bureau commander
They did that.
The bureau commander in my office says, emergency elevator operations, that's above a probationary firefighter. And that's when I knew I had him. I go, I pulled down the book that it's for, what they call it, the field officers, something, but it defines all of the proficiency exercises that probationary firefighter must pass. And so it was his truck house. And so I pulled it down and opened it up, emergency elevator operations.
Oh, perfect.
I showed it to him, and we just go, you don't know what you're asking your field officers to do.
That reminds me of something Tim told me one time, and he goes, "You know how you beat these guys, Mark? You beat them with their own rules."
Yeah,
that's the easiest way to beat them, with their own
knowledge
rules.
is power. Knowledge is power, no doubt.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to jump to that question, Cam, about wearing your badge, having to have those hard conversations. That's a phrase that we've taken from you guys. We've learned from you guys what that means, and being the captain when it's not fun to be the captain per se, and how you dealt with that. So many guys, Cap, shy away from it these days, and maybe the same during your era. We love the promotion, we love the rank, we love the accolades that come with the promotion, but we don't accept, as a whole, we don't seem to accept when shit goes bad and our people underperformed, it's us, and or we have someone that's really testing you, like say Cam Paxton, your that boot, or Cam Malaise, your rookie, or whoever that was. It's you don't necessarily get support from above, and thus I think that fuels the desire to not even address the situation, and or the human being is just built that way. They're just not going to address the situation. I just want to hear you guys' thoughts on that, man, because it's an epidemic, or at least it's becoming one.
What do you want, Johnny? You want me to say something, Johnny?
Sure.
Well, okay. So, and you might know this, Colin, but in Los Angeles, certain fire stations automatically are under the microscope just because of the number. And then certain names are under the microscope just because of their name, and so I've done my career with a lot of that pressure, so I never would shy away from it, and I just understood that, hey, they're gonna make up, like John was talking about, they make up lies. They freaking sit around. I don't know where they do it, but they get together in a forum and they always talk about us. It's like we're living in their heads for free. I mean, it's freaking crazy, but it happens. But as far as back where your crew is concerned, is, you guys we're all officers. So it's like, hey, you got your standards for your crew, right? You got your, like, 3 P's. I always told guys, hey, it's you got to have passion. If you don't have passion, what are you doing here? You got to be a professional. Because like a professional football player, what's that guy do? He works out, studies the freaking books. He's got to make sure that he knows every single play on that coach's sheet. And then the performance is playing your part on the team, right? So if all your guys are bought into that philosophy, but again, freedom of choice doesn't give you like freedom of consequence, right? So, the guys have to be adults and grown-ups about it, because, if you do something really outside, then that box that you put around your guys and try to protect them from that outside influence, sometimes you can't. It's too big for that, but like Mark will tell you, man, I tried to protect those guys. Like, man, don't talk to my guys. Talk to me. I'll talk to my guys.
There's a chain of command.
And so that's me on my soapbox.
Colin, I do have some thoughts on this. I was thinking about it when I read it. Well, first of all, the badge, just gives you the title and it gives you the authority, doesn't make you the leader. Your crew decides whether or not you're going to be their leader. They're going to pick their leader. And you have to work to make it be you, and that's why I feel a lot of that goes back to been there, done that. You're going to get buy-in on what you're talking about if you have the experience and the background to go with that badge. Guys, they fly through the ranks. They don't spend time as a fireman. They don't spend time as an operator. They don't spend time, as their first engine assignment as a captain. They race through it, and ultimately, what you end up with is an individual that has all of his experience level is entry level stuff.
Yeah.
Haven't spent time in your rank to make those mistakes where you learn from them. You go, oh man, I'll never do that again. And I know Greg and Mark, they spent a long time as firemen and AO and learning those lessons. And I think that impacts when you come in to a station as a captain and you have that background. I think that carries so much weight that your crew is going to listen to the things you say. Now, you say about having that hard conversation. I believe that you solve a lot of problems with clearly defined expectations. You make it known. This is how we're going to perform, and this is how we're going to behave. And when you're very clear about that, and when you're new, and you focus your time on SOGs, operational stuff, and go over all these SOGs, and you have them cemented with your crew, then if you have to have that difficult conversation, it's the second time you've talked to this guy about it, because you've already talked about it in your expectations, and having it be in the second time allows you more leverage based upon the level of the infraction or whatever it is when you have to, because I think we'll all agree, if you have to point to your bottle caps or you have to point to your badge, you've lost the argument.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm a true believer in clear expectations. And then if we just realize that they're always looking at you, they have a whole locker room full of buddies, and they don't need you to be their buddy. They need you to be their captain. That's all. That's what they want. And if you can do that, I think it makes it easier on that officer if I have to bring a guy in and have a counseling session, because I can go, this is the second time I've talked to you about this. Where was I not clear? When you have to have that tough decision. That's kind of the way I feel about it.
Yeah. You guys both.
What is a tough conversation? I laugh because what's a tough conversation?
Yeah, you're right, Greg.
It is. There's nothing tough about your conversation. You tell, and of course, I was a little different than most guys. Is I used to chew guys out in front of others because I felt, hey, this is not a lesson for one individual. It's a lesson for all my individuals. Piss off Malaise, you do something stupid, he's going to light you up, and then I want to make it uncomfortable enough that they don't do it again.
Yeah.
Good point. You guys kind of talked about your expectations for your guys, right? Captain Malaise, you mentioned the perfection standard, and I think we all know we get guys all over the spectrum on their passion for the job, their profession.
We're not allowed to recruit.
Yeah. So
There's no portal for the fire station?
How did you guys hold that standard? How did you? What did that look like as far as holding your guys to that standard?
Me, John? Because we probably have the same answer. This is multi-layered. So you have consistency.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys look at you. John had mentioned I had just talked to a guy that's going to make captain here. Probably he's a captain now. Talked to him about a month ago about, hey, you can't be that guy, that rule follower, because those guys are looking at you, and you can't possibly follow every single rule by the letter. So if you come in like as one of those guys, they'll see right through you. And of course, that's not a good thing, right? But you set your example, and then you have your team. And then for me on the truck and John on the truck, the AO, I had Mark, which was tremendous, right? So he sets the example, and you got your firemen, and then they set the example. So it's a self-policing kind of situation where, and you'll know the guys that aren't part of that team, and they get the brunt of all the heat. But yeah, it can't be just one guy at the top.
Yeah,
because the pressure will be too great. So you got to get this pressure from all sides to, hey, go with the flow, go with the team.
Was it something, Cap, that you told Mark, I expect you to handle this downstream, or did it just occur and you could be more hands off?
Well, okay, so me and Mark had a different thing. Well, we worked together for years before I was in the position of captain. He was in the position of so-called subordinate, right? But so we knew our plan easy. Mark was a locker room leader as a fireman. He's going to be a locker room leader as a AO. Same with me. Like I said, I walked into a fire station. There was no doubt. I wasn't one of these guys that would, which I've heard stories about officers going in. Hey, I don't know this. Can you teach me? Telling his subordinates to teach him something about. Yeah, I would, even if I thought that, I would never say it, because I'm going to portray that, hey, as arrogant as it sounds, hey, I know what the hell I'm doing, and I'm going to teach you guys because I know.
Captain Paxton.
Are we on the expectations question?
yeah, holding your guys to that standard that you had. How did you do it?
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, one thing that especially young officers don't realize is how many times a day they get the opportunity to demonstrate to their crew what right looks like. And the number one, you have to have a high expectation of yourself. You can't be some buffoon that the chief's always over there chewing on your ass because your work is lousy. You can't be, you're lousy on the radio. It embarrasses your crew. You're not aggressive in getting them assignments. That's expectations for you yourself as an officer. You represent those guys. And like Greg was saying, you got to protect them from not from the department, but from the from them being embarrassed by the company. And you as an officer can do that if you're not competent and good. I don't know if your guys' fire department do the officers, the station commanders, do they do timekeeping? Do they keep the guys' time straight?
No, not to the level that you all do.
Yeah. So if you're not paying them right, that stuff that I'm talking about. And then like the thing I tried to put out in my command was if we're all working to get better, every single one of us, every day. And that means that all the firefighters are working to be qualified to sit in any seat in the task force, act as AO, as engineer, C1, and 2. They're all working. We're all working to get better for that. All of my SOGs are open for improvement. It's not because I said so. You have an SOG for any type of an operation and you're drilling on it. And one of your guys comes back and says, hey, you know what? This is what I saw over here. They were doing it, this thing here. Well, hey, let's go out and practice it. Let's go out and tear this thing apart and see if it's something that maybe it makes us better, makes us more efficient. That's an expectation that I have, is that we're constantly trying to get better. And They're not going to hurt my feelings if they come up with a better way of doing something. And then if one person's working, everybody is, and that's you too, Cap. That you're doing something up front, and the rigs are pulled out, and out come they're sweeping the apparatus floor. You get your butt out there. They're not going to let you get a mop. You're going to go try and get a mop, but they're not going to let you do it. But you had best be out there, not sitting behind. I'll tell you a quick little story, if you will. If you'll,
Yeah.
Okay. I'm unloading my stuff at Fire Station 9, brand new captain. I haven't started there yet. And Lane Kemper, I don't know if has Mark ever talked to you about Lane Kemper?
I've attended his forcible entry class years ago. I know who he was. Yeah.
Okay. Lane was working. He was the TFC working that day. So I got all my junk on the apparatus floor, and he says to me in his high-pitched voice, "Hey, John, can I talk to you for a minute?" "Yes, sir, Lane. What do you got to say?" And we walked in that front office, and he pointed to the library and all the books that are up there. He says, "In this room right here, every mistake that you make as a company commander or engine captain, every mistake that you make in this office can be corrected with a sheet of paper. Every mistake that you make as an officer out there with your crew on the fire ground, there ain't no piece of paper to fix that. So where do you think your focus needs to be?" "Yes, sir, Lane.
Also,
Be with these guys." And so I made that. If they're drilling, you're out there drilling with them. That's everybody trains together. But anyways, that kind of was my answer to the expectation deal.
Mm-hmm.
Here's something that I did, which was kind of unique, and I got a lot of teasing for it. I gave my battalion chief expectations. So I mean, what everyone goes, "Oh, your subordinates. What's your expectations for them?" I told my captain one my expectations. I told my chief my expectations. I wrote them down actually, and they thought I was. When I'd hand him a piece of paper, he thought I was kidding him. It's like, no, read it. I'm very dead serious. We're on the same team. You have a different position, but you got to read that stuff. We got to be clicking on all cylinders. So. Yeah, it's pretty funny, the reaction that a few of them gave me.
I absolutely agree with that, Cap, and I do the same thing.
Yeah, it was
because they always do that. It's a rhetorical question, right? At the end of their expectations.
Yeah.
Do you have anything for me? And, "Oh, yes, I do." "Oh, yes, I do." "Can you promise that you'll suit up on scene? Can you promise that you won't be a hypocrite regarding rules and regs with me that you don't follow? Can you promise that you'll be competent in your decision making? Can you promise that you will project your own insecurities because maybe you didn't do time on the truck onto me and not allow me to carry out the task?" I have a whole list. So I absolutely applaud you for that. Amen.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to make the decision and assign me somewhere into a building, then I have an expectation of you.
Yeah. And you obviously trust me because you're giving me that assignment. So, trust me. That's the funny thing that we get with some of these risk-averse chief officers is they think we're on like a death wish or something like that. It's like, we don't want to get injured, Chief. Just like you don't want us to get injured, we do not want to get injured either.
Yep.
But we have a task. We have an operational task, and we want to complete it. And we're smart enough to know when, given the college try, we can't complete it, and we'll let you.
Yep. You mentioned it, Captain Malaise, but you mentioned same team. What did that mean in its totality? That same team.
Well, the unity of purpose. You look, like I said, if you look at football, I mean, look at the different layers of football. I mean, from coaching staff, there's different. There's a head coach. There's the freaking offensive and defensive coordinators and all the coaches in there, and then all the players and all their different positions and everything. And then, hey, on game day, you know what? It's cogs of a wheel, and they're going like this. I mean, if you followed Indiana's Signetti after he won the national championship, he got a lot of interviews, and he just talked about like downfield blocking, and John used to be a football coach, and you go, that downfield blocking is the most important things to these guys because you do not take a play off. And that's the thing. I mean, firemen can never take a play off. You can never ease into the task that you're given and stuff like that. And because that's where injuries happen or tragedy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, everyone has a position, know your position. The fire department wants you to know the next position up, but how about the next position down or the next two positions down or the next two positions up? I mean, when they came up with the formal Mayday operation, we had the chief come back and we had a really big parking lot, right? So we backed in, the whole crew did a evolution, and I would say we're better than some of the chief officers in the fire department, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in that.
Yeah. What were your guys' expectations of the higher rank, the battalion chief or the other chiefs? What was your expectation of them?
Well, for me, because let's see, two of the truck houses that I was at, I had a BC there, and it was support us. If it's not broke, don't try to fix it. Support me. Don't assume when a bad guy note comes down from on high that I'm guilty.
Mm.
You know, support my guys. Respect when we call when it's time to eat. Sorry, chief, you got to get your ass down out of your office and come down to the kitchen and eat. We ain't keeping it for you. You
Yep.
know, but have a place for us and give me an assignment when it comes in. Know what you want and assign us to what we're going to do, and then just kind of stay out of my business. You know, that was my expectation of because once you got beyond battalion, it was over. You know, the higher ups would whatever was going to help them get their next promotion. I truly believe that's how they operate.
Would you guys both say that you're in the belief that that is your engine house, not the BC who sleeps there and has his office?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Well, so if you remember, one of the houses, you know, I made two in the same house John made two, is I had Larry Schneider, who was extremely active and vocal, and I did some things to him that were downright rude, but he loved it. He loved me because I stood up to him. You know, I had worked with him before, and he loved the guy that would be confident enough to just go, no, like he called from upstairs, right? So he calls down to the front office and, hey, I want to use your plug buggy. I told him, no, not using it. Why not? Because I'm not letting you use it. We want to use it. And he's like, well, you know, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, whatever, chief. You know, fucking 5-6 fire stations in the battalion. You know, go find another rig. And never tell me why he would need it. But yeah, so he'd MF me and then he'd go away. But that kind of just being in charge of your fire station was interesting. He was, I'd say by the time I was only there 2 years, I'd say by the time I left, that was a thing that I was privately proud about, is how I changed his behavior. You know, even on the fire ground, he was one of those guys that would get in your way of physical rescue. He'd go interject himself onto the run, and he didn't do that. So it was, you know, one of my little victories, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. What about auto alarms? Quite a few of them, you know, pop up out there. Probably at your guys' different stations where you were captain two's at. How'd you guys view them and handle those?
Well, I mean, you have to view them as a structure fire. I mean, you have to let your guys know you're driving emergency, which is a really dangerous thing to do, right?
Right.
And you're suited up, go through the motions, and you know what? If it's nothing, no harm, no foul. If it's something, you're ahead of it. Mark, did he tell you the story about the fire we had on the 36th floor or something like that, 33rd floor?
Yeah.
And by the time that next resource showed up, we had all the bases covered because we didn't mess around. We did our job, covered all the things, the boxes were checked, and then boom, it's a fire, fill it out. And by time those guys got there, is all I had to do was tell them what to do. Okay, you do this, you do. But I mean, I was fortunate that when I was a young fireman, you know, first of all, automatic alarms were a full assignment, full B assignment back then.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a couple of them that ended up being decent fires, you know, and it's like, well, that's the thing. You have to treat them all like a fire until you know they're not. I mean, that's just the mindset you have to have. I don't care how tired you are or how shit full of putting your stuff on you are. Hey, this is a job you signed up for. Put a smile on your face and go do it, you know?
So Cap Paxton, I could ask
Yes,
you a
sir.
question because you guys both went to 37s as brand new twos, correct?
Yes.
What was that mindset? And I mean, I kind of know what it is, but how did you adapt to that changing of, you know, because our books allow you to respond in your turnout pants, no coat on, right? I mean, that's what it says. I think maybe they've changed it since then, but I think we dumbed it down so far that we went to, hey, yeah, they kind of know it's a bullshit call, right? So what do? They allow us to kind of bullshit our way through it. Hey, show up and not have your coat on. But when you get there, then you got to put your coat on. It's like, okay, what is, so how did that look to you when you got there? And what steps did you take to help change that mindset slash, when I say something better, company operation?
Yeah, I really didn't have to change because they had it. They
Okay.
were guys that had come from downtown, promoted, you know, and moved in there, and their influence on the firefighters had, you know, we just looked at it. I agree 100% with what Greg said. It's an opportunity. It's sets and reps. It gives us a chance. You know, we're going to act the same way on every incident that we go to until it's proven otherwise. And if it's nothing, well, you got to rep in and throw on that 35 or suiting up and taking the proper tools and equipment with you. It's practice and it just makes you better. You get that. Well, I mean, how many hundreds of times did you put that aerial up? And what did that afford you as an AO and 11's first in? You knew your spots. You knew where that aerial was going to go. And your fireman knew, I don't want to put the 35 there because that's where Mark's going to be putting that aerial. It sets and reps and it just makes us better. And if you don't like that, then go find some other place to work because that's the way. That's the way.
Hey, I got to add something to that because it's 37s is a horrible example because that freaking place, we used to get UCLA runs and they had their own little like a quick response rig that would go and we'd go and sit and they would do the investigation, and it really steals a lot of what John was talking about, all that pre-fire planning stuff or all that pre-incident stuff that you get by going to a building and doing an automatic alarm, taking care of something like that. And yeah, I hated it. I mean, I couldn't stand that place because of that. It was just because they're stealing from us, you know, they're stealing our knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things I recall witnessing when I first met Mark as a 3-year fireman working for Dory Jones at 11s, and he asked me, "You want to go on this run?" And it was an automatic pull station in a center hall, and watching the company go to work on what I was told was, an alarms call. And I said, okay, this is different. And I read that this is awesome because I saw the guys go to work and get to practice their position within that SOG. That
Sure.
It's a freebie.
Like, what would be different if there was smoke coming out of the window? Nothing. maybe the hose lay might be different, but I mean, yeah, you're getting sets and reps, like John said. I swear to God, you know, and you guys do hands-on training. You know that kind of stuff is what's the word I'm looking for? You can lose your ability to do stuff, you know. So like me and John, we're certainly not as good as we were as captains doing the fireman stuff as we were when we were firemen, you know.
Mm.
You just lose that capability, you know. So so if your guys can understand that, hey, look, all you're doing is making yourself better. You know, you can never stay in the middle. You either have to improve. If you're not improving, guess what? You're not staying in the middle. You're actually getting worse, you know. So so those things, those sets and reps like that should be, and of course, as a captain, you have to be the guy that do it with a smile. I mean, it's like, yeah, this is great. I love it. You know, if you're like negative about it, guess what? Guys, you gotta be negative about it, you know?
Yeah. And it also gives you, like, right up until when I was getting ready to retire, we were, every time we'd go out and we'd be out in the district training, you're being nagged. People, hey, why you don't put that ladder up against my building? You know, no, you can't do this. You can't walk on that. The automatic alarm, they called you.
Mhm.
And that gives you, that's why the training is so good. It's because you can throw it, get your ladder, put the aerial up, go to the roof. If that's what, you know, you can do the things that, you know, on day to day that you might be getting pushback from.
Absolutely.
Yeah, everything we do is in the fire service is a perishable skill set, right? It is.
There you go.
You don't lose it. You don't lose it. You're gonna don't use it. You're gonna lose it. That's it. End of fucking story, right? So I don't care if you could have been the cock of the block, but give you 3, 4 years in a place that's not going on calls and the guys are not engaged, and you will see it. I saw it when I went to 95s over by the airport, and it's like you lose that skill set, man. And I got to 11s. I say it all over. It's like I felt like a first house rookie, overwhelmed on watching these 3-year guys run fucking circles around me, right? And it's because they're engaged. They're doing this over and over and over again.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, any big fires or incidents that influenced your guys' careers when you were working?
Every single one of them.
Mhm.
That's all I can say. I took every incident and I learned from it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it just reinforced something I already knew or something I didn't know or a screw up that I never wanted to happen again. I mean, just, yeah, I took it so serious that every single, and we used to get grief. We used to be called fire Nazis and stuff like that. But I didn't care. It was like, yeah, we're serious about our task or about our job, you know, and you can all go to hell if you don't feel that way, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to agree with that. It's all like I had said earlier, it's all adds to your experience, every incident that you go to. And I think, Colin, you had said, you made a reference to a self-reflection, and we have to do that. We have to be able to take a really serious look at ourselves and go, well, you know, what would I do? What would I do different that to be better? And then it goes, I think Greg had brought it up about after incident critiques, right when it's fresh in everybody's mind. And I don't care if it's 3 o'clock in the morning. We have to do a down and dirty one right there. And I believe it always starts with you, the boss. You talk about what you saw, you talk about what you did, and you always, always, always find something that you would do different, something, because that sets the pace now. The boss has said this is what he would do different, and then go through, especially your operators, and then when you get down to your major firemen that had roles, everybody has to talk about what they would have done different, because it's never perfect. The fire has a say in how effective you're going to be. Your company SOGs, the fire dictates that as well. And once you've done it, once you've said, "Hey, this is what I did," then yeah, the guy gets done talking about it, and he's the hero of the fire. He put everything out, and he did it, ventilated it. Okay, now what would you have done different? You know, we have to stand before each other, and we got to talk about the things we did wrong. And that's all that experience thing. And I think every fire that we have gone to all builds into that, into who we are in our positions.
Your Rolodex.
Into the old Rolodex. Kids nowadays don't know what a Rolodex is.
How you both were on maybe just a generation just before those more notable fires like Pone Square, Dorothy May, Stratford, even, I don't know, First Inter LA County Library. How much of those were still talked about? How well did the department do in terms of passing those lessons on to you? Was it anecdotal word of mouth from a guy that was there more so, or did the FD itself your in-service do a good job of, you know, educating you all on the realistic challenges those companies faced at those fires?
There was no in-service back then. So you're talking Stratford, Pone, the Watts riots. Those were just all word of mouth stuff, you know.
Really?
Me and Mark always talk about how Stratford was when they started talking about, hey, you know what, this laddering, this idea of removing people from the hazard, it really didn't work. I mean, we need to come up with something else, and that's when vertical ventilation became really a thing they taught. I mean, like when I was a rookie, it was huge. Vertical ventilation and all the new lightweight construction that was just lightweight wasn't new, but it was getting more and more in the building areas, and it's just word of mouth, and be interested and train and learn and blah blah blah. And but that's because we were there for the library and the Dorothy May and the frickin' the 92 riots, the frickin' Burlington fire. You know, we lived all that, you know.
Seemed like your Center Hall SOPs kind of were built off some of those anecdotal lessons from some of those fires, with how you executed your assignment within tackling that Center Hall fire. Or
yeah, but I was downtown during the Dorothy May, and those guys were really good at the straight center hallways and H-shaped and U-shaped center hallways. They were really good at that. I mean, just and drop bags. Really, there's only been like 15 years that they were doing the drop bags, and they had developed it so well that you know, they were good. They got water on the fire really fast, got holes in the roof really fast. I mean, it was well coordinated. It's and you know, I always say about 11s, and you try to beat it into some young guys. It's like, you know, we're riding on the shoulders of giants in the fire service, man. These guys were the shit, man. They were really, really good at what they did, and they really developed a lot of the SOGs that we use in our world, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Paxton, did you have anything to add to that, or those fires, or, you know?
Well, the above ground center hallway, those lessons were learned the hard way. And those guys before us, they really took the time to teach and to bring you along. And not just, I can remember, it's not just, this is how we do it. It was why. This is why we have to do it. This is the challenge of this box divided by floors that's heavily packed with people, and this is the reason why, you know, we got to do what we do when we get on scene, both from a truck and from an engine perspective. And that's because when I went down and my first tour at 11s, I didn't have much of any experience and knowledge of the center hallways. And boy, you spend a couple of years down there, and it's such a challenging first in district, because everything's above ground. Everything's above ground, man. And you got to take everything up. And that area is one of the areas in my career that really solidified my development as a firefighter and an officer.
Cam, if I may, I'm really curious about something you said there, Captain Malaise, and it's a very controversial topic in the American fire service, and that is, I learned this from you guys, is this, you mentioned the Stratford and how everybody just kind of went for the ground ladder rescues and delayed vertical ventilation, and how there's this, one of the first places I heard this is from you guys, of this, for the one you see, how many do you not see? And get the roof opened up, get ventilation going, passively save more than actively saving one or two or three potentially by getting water on the fire. And so many places completely disagree with that, and they want to go for the ladder rescues. And how far back do you remember that lesson being taught to you, or did that something that came? I mean, I'm assuming it was there prior to your, coming on the job, but I don't know. And I'm just very curious, like where that all came from, and where the first time was you heard it, or.
So me and John came on 7 years after the Stratford.
Okay.
It was entrenched, but it's unfortunate that LA City is different than your department or Provo. I mean, it's got so many resources, especially in those areas. You're gonna get your ladder rescues. It's not like you have to choose one over the other. You just prioritize one over the other.
Yeah.
So, and
most of the country has to choose.
Most of the country does. I mean, you think about it, but it's just to get that culture of, if guys understand that, I'll do more good. I mean, and you have to be knowledgeable about roof ventilation, because a lot of our guys think chopping a hole in the roof is roof ventilation, and there's nothing could be farther from the truth. It's a very, very scientific thing, and but yeah, you got a good roof team. You can do a lot of good, and the support that you're giving your engine company so they can get closer to the fire and put the fire out quicker is, that's our goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Paxton, anything on that?
Well, and I get this because I do some work in Texas with a small fire department there. The job that we do is the same all the way across the country. Firefighting, it's the same. The only difference is the amount of resources that you have that shows up on scene. Mm-hmm. We have the luxury of working together, engine and truck, to lift that smoke and get that nozzle to the seat of that fire as fast as we can, because we got two more truck companies that are coming in piled right on top of us that can, if the IC wants some rescue stuff done, he can assign them to it, and they can do that. But because we had the luxury to be able to be engine work, truck work at the same time, and eliminating that smoke that was pounded into us from the time that we first came on. You're going to go past the people to go put the fire out and to ventilate the building.
So it'd be safe to say that in a resource limited jurisdiction, you got to go for the bigger save. Do not focus on the one by one. Go for the save. Get the ventilation occurring and getting water to the fire. Yes, or am I off?
Yeah, well, that's the way because I've seen it. We've lived it. We know it. But you're just arguing against people that, no, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go for the individual ladder saves because they don't have that. What I've been talking about, they don't have that experience. They haven't seen it. They don't really know it. They've read it in a book, and that's what they're going to do. I think
there's no skill set involved, generally speaking, to pulling up to a fire, seeing someone from a window and knowing, oh, I need to go get them.
Yeah.
I mean, other than throwing the ladder, there's no real skill set to that and fire ground knowledge.
Right. And just because somebody's standing on the fire escape, does that mean that, or the window, does that mean they're in trouble?
Yeah. You'll know.
They have defensible space as well.
Yeah. You'll know that. It's, I mean, we had a fire in 11's district. I wasn't there at the time, but ended up killing a whole bunch of people on the floor above the fire. They had nailed all the doors open. So all the Pone environment was not there. But the thing is, the guys on the roof never cut holes over the hallway. So they never released any of the smoke for those guys. And then you're doing CPR, you're doing these after action things, and you're always wondering, God, you know what? I wonder if they had if they had gotten up there right away, because they were there right away. They had just gotten up there right away and put a hole over that hallway. Would something have been different? Would have one been saved? 2, 10? There's actually 10. They say 11 because one was pregnant, but you'll never know because it didn't happen. It's just like, man, how sad is that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just on the thing about the incidents, you guys were both working. What was it like working during the riots in the 90s? How was that?
Greg, were you working the first night?
Yeah. So it was an 8-shift night. The first night, the way the riots went down is basically 3 days. Our riots was 3 days long. So it was A shift, B shift, C shift. And I worked the A, started on the A, and I worked the C. And it was, like I had mentioned yesterday, it was a good feeling to know that I had the steering wheel in front of me, because I think I wouldn't have felt as comfortable if someone else had the steering wheel in front of them. You know what I'm saying? I'm a control freak to begin with, but it was like right away, our first run, we got in really early. I will tell you that.
Where were you working?
I was at Nines, Skid Row. And so where it started, they had like 6 structure runs probably in less than 10 minutes. They had, and it takes a while for resources to become available. So the concentric circles of fire calls got bigger and bigger in our first run. So for those who know, 7th and San Pedro is basically Fire Station 9. Our first run was like 82nd and Hooper, which is like almost the county, but it's, 75 freaking blocks away from us. Our first response, we didn't get there. The guys that got there first, they got a bottle. The pump got a bottle thrown through their window. But so anyway, we got released, and I was coming back. I told the captain, "Hey, I'm going emergency back home. I'm not going to shut them off." Which we never did in the past. And he didn't say nothing. And he was kind of like an old lady, right? And he didn't say nothing. I go, "Oh man, this is good. This is good. I got the con, man. This is good." So, other than that, we never got back home. We did a lot of fires. We actually did 3 roofs. And it was just a good night. I mean, I got absolutely nothing but good memories, And it was a skeleton crew because a couple of our guys were off sick. I told you yesterday we had an engine guy that was tillering because guys had called in sick and stuff like that. But because we knew something was going to happen. We didn't know what, but we knew something bad was going to happen. They've been planning something. And but like I said, I'm just thankful I had the steering wheel in front of me, because I would have felt completely different if I didn't.
Yeah.
But you know what's sad about it? I'll tell you, for those that don't know, when you see small children with so much hate in their heart, little kids flipping you off, you're a fireman. You're used to people waving at you, and it's that kind of hurts. That kind of is like a kick in the balls, It was pretty sad.
Seems to be on steroids these days.
Yeah. And then you realize, when the second day and those guys thought it was Christmas in April, it's like they don't care about it. There's no social freaking stuff going on. They just want free stuff, They're just there for the free.
Did you work at all, John, during the riots?
Yeah, I was an engineer on that first night in East Hollywood, and I was driving down Melrose, coming back from a run by KTLA, and we see these 3 guys in suits run across the street. And I don't remember their names, but I remember I go, "Hey, that's so and so." He was one of the attorneys for one of the coppers, and and from the time I pulled into the back of the fire station, the radio was starting to pick up. And then we got sent down to Florence and Normandy with Greg remembers this, with truck 35 when the AO got shot driving down on that incident. So we were by ourselves when we got down there. I had a captain who was an absolute idiot.
Were you at 35s or 52s?
I was at 52s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, the guy that I was driving was great.
Yeah.
Steve Owens, man, he was.
Oh yeah, Stevie.
Stevie. We were with Engine 20, and I forget this captain's name, but with this gas station, and like the potato chip rack was on fire, and this guy was going through he was laying a line, intersection, going by, gunshots, people just, I remember telling the captain, I go, hey, we got to get away from this guy, man. He's going to kill us. And we ended up looking for a big loom up and drove over there and hooked up with Light Force 11. They were there. And we just we stuck with them. But it was wild because we didn't have any police protection until midnight. This thing started at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah,
right?
It was right before dinner. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was no police presence. And man, you were driving and just getting rocked by full cans of beer, and there was other people that were threatened, other fire companies that were threatened with weapons and stuff. But we picked big fires that we would hook up with the other companies. Funny thing, I just remember being on this corner, and I'm pumping to a couple of ladder pipes, or I don't think we had ladder. I think they were just doing portable monitors and stuff. And I'm watching this big box store just get cleaned out. It was like a furniture store, and the lights were on, and every piece of furniture and TV was just and these people were all from Orange County that had come up for the free sale. They were stripping these places. And I sit there, I look over, and this guy, the building's on fire, and he walks over to the water cooler. It was because he unplugs it. He takes the bottle off, and he throws this water cooler up on his shoulder. And as soon as he steps out of the building, bam, the cops hook him up. He gets arrested for taking a water cooler.
Deep shit.
But it was like Greg said, you just went from fire to fire to fire, and it was you got to do a lot of picking and choosing, and you just picked the fire that you wanted to go handle.
Well,
that was it.
My experience was a little different because we had Battalion 1 with us on that first run, and we were always with them the whole night. We got relieved probably 10 o'clock in the morning in 11's district, and it was John Ware. It was a really, really good battalion chief, and that was good to have. And we didn't even know what's his face got shot. You're busy doing it. You don't hear all that. We heard 50s get shot, but that was the first time we heard of shots. And then we got supposedly shot at in 11's district. 11's district had some issues, but yeah. So I was fortunate. I had a battalion commander the whole time, and we had a group of like 4 companies or something like that. And so I never made it to Florence and Normandy, wherever the bus station was. We never went there.
Yeah.
But Greggy Poo was telling everyone that would listen to me, we ain't parking the truck. I could put 2 ladder straps back there in Davy Chavez's coat, but we are not parking the fire truck, man. And we did use it. We used it quite a bit. So that was good.
Yeah.
Because that's what, I don't know if you heard, that a lot of the fire trucks parked at the bus station. They just put the manpower on fire engines.
That was kind of like a central point of dispatching, or
I never went, so I don't really know how they did their thing.
It was like Fort Apache in the the next morning. The guys that had all been working all night, they pulled the companies in, high walls, razor wire, and they refueled everybody. They had food and stuff for them. Make relief. It was a big enough yard to make relief. You know, that AO that got shot on truck 35, Scott, those guys, the crew saved his life. He got shot in like the neck area, and they threw him up on the doghouse. And a guy stuck his finger in there. And the good thing for the captain is that he made the decision, and they hauled ass to the hospital right then and there, and that's what saved Scott's life.
Crazy.
Captain Malaise, I've had a request from your ex-crew, including A.O. Carcamo, as to why you didn't
Here it comes.
You didn't give out enough attaboys, apparently, and they wanted to know why.
Because I believe that, hey, you're highly trained and paid, okay? You don't need attaboys. Your fucking base level is perfection. Anything below that, you get your ass chewed out. Then if you're really fucked up, then we're gonna go in for the gauntlet and just take the shit out of you. But yeah, I wasn't a hugger. I wasn't into group hugs. Oh, and I want to go back to something that John was talking about, those after action things that he did.
Yes, please.
Okay, so, and I don't know how your departments do it. They would have all the pumpkin heads, all the orange helmets, go and with the chief and do ours first, and then we would splinter off and do it with the fellows, you know, with the crew and stuff like that. And it was like, you know, towards the end there, Mark will tell you one, he stood in one for me, and he didn't realize it was supposed to be a group hug, and he told the chief how jacked up it went. And remember that, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah, get out, get in, get out, get in. Yeah, they pulled us out of this place probably 3 times. They told us to get out, and then they kept letting us go back in and stuff. And so I was a cook, so I took off with the pump and back to the fire station, and Mark went to the command post, and he said practical stuff, and they didn't want to hear it. They wanted to hear about how awesome they were. And so I got a phone call.
Dang.
Hey, I can still remember his face when I told him that was fucked up. I
got the finger wave. Don't do that again, Greg.
So that's been going on for a long time. These weak hot washes after action.
Yes. You know, and it was, you know, so I gave the chief an earful. I go, wait a sec. So you got, literally at the time there was 3 Captain 2s, 3 trucks in our battalion, and it was all 3 of us were pretty good Captain 2s, right? So you had Mondo at 20s and Timmy at 29s, right? And we were all at the incident, and yet he's listening to these clowns, and it's like, and I had to tell him, I go, well, you brag on us. I know that you're bragging on us throughout the fire department, and then when it comes time to actually listen to us on scene of an incident, you listen to Rudy Hill, or I forget who it was. There was like 4 clowns that were, you know, that's why we got pulled out of the building so many times. You know, it was like, oh yeah, okay, go back in there. Oh, get out. Okay, go back in there, you know. And it's like, we were like, this messed up. This is, and not to mention the water drop from a helicopter on the roof of a house.
That was
that was a dark day, huh? Yeah, not quite what we normally do.
You know, you knew that you had a really good chief when he would be up the ladders, get up on the roof, come back down, look at the engine companies, look at the hose line placement before he started that hot wash. But, you know, that guy knew, and he asked very pointed questions. Why did you do this, or why did you do that?
No.
And, you know, engine 6, why did you not lay a line? Well, chief, the guy's good captain goes off on a thing, and he goes, you don't ever come to my battalion.
That's not like
O'Neill, and lay a line into a fire. What do you think an engine is for? You know, But then, of course, he had a bunch of other choice words that he was counseling this guy about. And everybody else knew that right at that point, you come into O'Neill's battalion, you better be and have a reason why you did stuff.
That message was meant for more than one person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%, Greg. Yep.
What drew you guys to those busy houses, especially after a long career, ending your careers at very busy houses? What made you guys want to do that?
Well, for me, I'll go is I like working around people that want to get better. And a busy house is if you don't want to get better, you're not going to be there. I would much rather work around a bunch of young firemen that want to get better and do a great job than a bunch of old, grumpy old men. I didn't come on the job to watch TV, and relax. I think I saw it as fun. I love going to fires with my guys and give me an active station over a slow house. No less complaining, more camaraderie, more guys willing to pitch in and help each other. It's much better.
Mm-hmm.
You want my story? I
Yeah.
got there. I didn't pick it.
Oh.
I was coming out of special duty, as it were, as you know, and that was the only vacancy. So I was fortunate enough. God was on my side and put me at 11s, and I loved it anyway. That was the third time I had worked there, so that's it. But I will tell you, all those things John said are so true. I mean, I almost had zero complaints. We had a CTS system, and we never had any problem. We had a
What's a CTS system, Cap, for those?
I don't even know what it stands for.
Complaint tracking system.
Complaint tracking. It's a disciplinary system. It's a base computer level disciplinary, and then it goes out to the investigation. But we never had a problems. We did have one probationary guy coming out of the drill tower that thought he could wrestle a mop. I mean, we had already told him, hey, dude, we don't play games here. You don't run for the door. You don't run for the phone. You just learn your job. You only have a year to do it. So we're going to really, anyway, so he thought he would take the guy that knew jujitsu and wrestle a mop from him. And then in 2 seconds, he's choked out, and so the good side of that is that they didn't give us a rookie for what, about 4 years, Mark? A long time. They wouldn't give us rookies after that. We didn't get in trouble for it because it ended up being it was the probationary guy's fault for engaging, for getting physical with a guy. And then we found out that the firemen that work in the drill tower were telling them, hey, don't listen to those guys. You fight for the mop. You fight for the broom. You get physical because that's what they want. It's just the opposite was true. We never wanted any of that stuff, right? So, but I will tell you on the other side, since I have worked at 11th 3 times and 9th 3 times, those districts don't get much more entertaining. I mean, Mark will tell you, we used to laugh and laugh at some of the bullshit that was out. I mean, you can only sit. Hey, you can only sit there at the exit to the underground subway with some black lady, and she's talking about how she got raped, and she goes through the whole story about she met him here, and they went home, had a blunt, and then this, and it's all that street slang she's talking, and she got freaking raped, and she was just telling it like a story about, I was at this baseball game the other day. It was like, hey.
Cap, what about the dog on the island in West in
Where the motherfucker at? No, okay, so listen. This was not a fun story. Mark was there. He'll vouch for me. Someone came to the door of the fire station. Mark, just shake your head. If you knock on the door, hey, there's this dog stuck on the island in MacArthur Park Lake,
Yeah.
So Dowling wants to, God rest his soul, he's no longer with us, but Tom wanted to go down there and check it out, right? So we take the light force down there, and God, how far would you say it was? About 80 feet away from the shore, something like that, Mark?
Too long for any ladder we had.
It was too long. It was too long for this goofy ladder. This guy wanted to strap ladders on. So basically, he had us doing this like high-low rope rescue with ladders and telfers and shit like that. And then, of course, big crowd and the news cameras up. Well, our engine sees the news. Hey, our truck's down the street. News. So they come down. Now we got all 10 of us there. And we had been there hours, right? I was so shit full of this. So there's some dude in a wife beater, some black guy in a wife beater. He probably weighed 67 pounds. He was probably heavier than Tim Kelly, I'm guessing. So I'm like going, hey man, I'll give $10 for anyone that'll go get that damn dog off that island, because we weren't about to go in the water because it's got some diapers and stuff in there you don't want to touch. But so this guy, I'll never forget it. So he is up on this berm, like the grassy knoll. So he's up there and he starts jogging down. And as he's jogging, he's taking his freaking shirt off. He jumps in like Mark Spitz, does about 4 pumps, and he's already on the island, right? So he gets up, turns to us. Now, where the motherfucker at? Because the dog ran away, from some guy, right? Oh my God. I swear to God, I had to go home and change my underwear. That was was that the funniest line, Mark? Where the motherfucker at?
The dog's dodging him the entire time, right? Dog wants no part of him.
So he runs around the dog. You can't catch a dog. Dog's too fast for him, right? So he swims back and he wants his $10. And we're like, get the hell out of here, dude. You got to get the dog. And I couldn't even tell you how we got the dog. I just remember it's like PTSD, man. It was like, that was a bad day. That's funny because I thought you were going to ask another dog story.
What's the other one?
Oh boy.
Oh God.
Hey, same captain. So I think it was Dowling that brought out the worst in Greg, right?
Is that the one that he tried to hang?
I didn't try to hang. I tried to save him. Are you fucking kidding me?
he choked him back to life?
Thank you, doggy CPR. No one gets credit for that.
Oh man.
Sorry, Cameron. I'm a dog lover, so I tried to save a dog that got hit by a car.
Oh, didn't work out.
I got yelled at, so whatever.
When you guys were working, truck or engine work, what was your preference?
Go ahead, Greg.
Oh, it's too easy for me, So, so I always used to preach about probation, how it shapes your whole career. So my probation was like truck-centric probation. It was my engine house. My second house, I had John White, which was a well-known truck fireman, was studying for captain. So he was riding the engine with me. And then the captain 2, Bob DeFeo, Mark's friend, Maurice Gaspora, was going for captain 2 at the time. So I had the TFC and the truck fireman on the engine with me. It's all we drilled on was truck stuff. So that was my engine house. And then after my 10-month test, I got put on the squad, which at the time was a manpower rig. And it did quite a bit of truck work. So yeah, I was that set my career path on the truck. And I love truck work. I still do. It's just awesome. But I will tell you that in that configuration that we were talking about in the task force light force configuration, did a lot of hose line work, did a lot of engine work. Not a lot, but it's not like I did none. It did quite a bit. When I was at AO at Nines, the engine was so busy that we get structure runs, and we were first in on structure runs all the time, which meant we did water. Throw my aerial, run down, and do that.
On that truck, Cap, what was your favorite position you ever had? Fireman, AO, captain?
Oh, I mean, hey, I think AO is the best position in the whole fire service, man. It's just, you know, because you, like I said, I mean, and that was good. And Mark will tell you, he drove a bunch of guys, but I mean, my philosophy is that guy's the tip of the spear, man. I mean, in our configuration, you know, he kind of tip of the spear on training, tip of the spear on, you know, the task force formation. They're in front, you know. I mean, they lead the way, and then he's a guy that has got a whole team with him when he's on the roof, cutting a hole in the roof. You know, I mean, it's there's a lot of responsibility in that one position. I use that position as when I was going for captain. I was going, oh, being an engine captain is going to be easy for me. I'll have 3 guys, actually 2 guys. You know, when I was doing Der Wiener Schnitzel, I had more guys underneath me. You know, I mean, that's AO is a very unique position. It's like I said, I view it as being a game changer position. Huh, Mark? What do you think? Huh?
I mean, for me, you know, that's obviously I retired doing that because first off, that's what I wanted to be, and then second off, never aspired to be anything other than that. So it was a good fit. It got me to where I wanted to be, and that was and I said, lack of something better. You're in charge. You wear a lot of hats, right? And I think if you're good at it, you should be able to make sure you're good at all those positions, not just one.
Captain Paxton, engine or truck?
Well, it took me a long time because I was a dyed-in-the-wool water buffalo. I mean, it was uh, and I was saying when I made 2, and especially when I was at 33s, I said it took me a long time to find out the 2 best jobs in the fire department are both in the cab of the truck. And, uh, I had come through the engineer side, and I was fortunate to work at a lot of task force houses. Got to be around solid AOs that taught me what the job was about. I never held that rank, but I had a pretty good idea about what right looked like. And so I always made it my point as when I got to my truck companies to get in there with my AO and make sure that our operations and stuff were. I learned a lot from the AOs that I had on my crew, and like a term I used before, I got to see what right looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It When I was there, I really liked the engineer's job of aggressively getting my company into where I wanted it to be, and making things happen. I really enjoyed that. But like I say, there's no replacing my last assignment as a TFC at 33s. I really, really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah. So I guess that would mean on a fire ground, what was your guys' favorite assignment? You had to pick the assignment. What would it be?
What were you saying? Roof ventilation for a truck company?
Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
Oh, you get that very specific roof where you cut and you get fire out of your hole. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's the high five time when you're done with it all. But yeah, very dangerous, but very exciting.
Yeah.
I would agree with that, but I also the being able to put the fire out after a long struggle to get
First
into
and
that
last.
position was, if I'm thinking back and I'm going back on that, I really enjoyed that. But at the same time, man, when the task force pulls out of quarters and you're jamming down the street and you see a big loom up out there and you go, I'm going to work with all my fellas, everybody's with you. You're all rolling down there. That adrenaline rush is probably one of the only things that I really miss about the fire department.
Yeah.
And the truck's leading.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah. You know, you got all your guys with you, and here we go. You know, that's it takes me back to the days when I was young and playing football. It's the same feeling when you're on the bus on game night and you turn the corner and the lights of the stadium are out there. You know, it's that, here we go, man. It's go time.
Yeah.
I do miss that. I miss that. And I miss the comedy of being on a rig on the headsets, and all of us, because what are we doing? We're either making fun of each other or we're making fun of that guy on the street corner. I miss that. Yeah.
I was curious. You both were twos, one not an AO, one an AO, obviously. How involved when that, I don't know, turn it into that commercial or that apartment house where you've cut that fire and now it's the engine they're not coming up with their end of the bargain, and this thing's now turning into a running attic, or this is an extended operation that's going to start to require more companies. How involved, were you early on with that versus maybe early on setting up roof division and making those calls? I'm always curious, Ben, how, we're looking out for those escape routes or what have you. Are we set up for a mayday on this roof if need be? Give me those, because I'm looking for them as a relatively young captain.
Yeah, that's your job. It's exactly your job. You're making sure that like I had mentioned earlier in the podcast about the fire they had on Boyd. I know for a fact if it was our truck that went there, there would have been a ladder from the roof to the 2-story next door. I would have called on the radio to have the next truck or the third truck ladder that building. I mean, these are just basic stuffs. I would have the double D. I took the double D off every roof fire we got. Always drop bag the hose line up there. I was doing all the support functions so those guys could just concentrate on getting a hole where it belonged, And, yeah, and that's your thing as a two. You're making sure that, one, the task is being accomplished, but two, that you got their back. You got the safety thing. And we used to talk about all the time about, hey, look, a hole in a roof is actually a square or rectangle, right? But there's only really two sides you're allowed to be on, because the other two sides put that hole in between you and your egress.
Yeah.
So if you have a hard and fast rule like that, and it's not 100%, I know that, but if you have that rule, then you get those guys that do that kind of stuff, that start walking around your hole. Then you hear your guys yell at them, "Hey, get the hell over here!" Then okay, good. Our team's doing the right thing. The other team can be doing the wrong thing, and we're trying to correct them and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Captain Paxton, anything
It's
to
really
add?
hard to duplicate the operations that Greg and Mark had together, because they had been together for so long. They could anticipate what each other was thinking.
Yeah.
And
We didn't have a lot of no huddles.
yeah. Yeah. And so I think if you're doing your job as the truck captain, that lets the AO stay focused on his task. And he's got his guys that are his pullers that are with him. It doesn't make anybody have to step back and assume that role. Like, if you're not there, somebody has to be eyes on the group and listening to what the radio is saying. Because like what Greg was saying, you're going to throw your drop bag and the engineer will bring up a protection line. But at the same time, you have to be there, and you can't be empty-handed. You have to have a hook with you. You got to have double D with you. You have to be responsible to bring a tool up, because sure enough, they're going to run into something where they need that extra hook, and you can get in there and help them pull some boards that they need to be done. But what I was always a heads up to was that second truck company that's coming to the roof. I always intercepted them first.
That was my next question. You're kind of like the traffic cop.
The last thing, I know what the plan is what my AO and my truck company are executing over here, and how many times that second truck company comes up and cuts a hole and cuts off the primary ventilation from their egress. You have to, it's like what Greg is saying, you have to, you're protecting your guys there too, but you're also keeping the plan that's being played out on that roof. You're keeping that in the same direction. No surprises for your guys.
It's your
And,
plan. So the thing
Yeah.
you had mentioned that you said roof division. I didn't do roof division. If I was the first guy there, I was in charge. Okay, I would get on the radio. I would ask for, like, we had a strip mall fire, and hey, your strip mall fire, you don't want your second truck with you. You want them on the other side, and you want to pinch the fire off, right? So, I had arguments with other Captain Twos about well, you lose control of them. You can't control them anyway. You give them, hey, this is what I want you to do. I want you to mirror what we're doing, do it from that side. Now they have their egress. Now they have their little assignment, and then we work on our half and they work on their half.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, if it's a running attic fire, that they do the right things on that.
And I want to be focused on what we're doing. When they start talking divisions and stuff, they're off on a different channel. My focus is also, I'm listening to the engine company's radio communication, because then that's going to tell me how effective we're being. Are they getting lift? And knowing what they're experiencing helps us in what we're doing. Because I also want to know if fire attack is a incident objective. And if they're having trouble getting water on the fire, that's an objective that's not being completed. And that ties me now to the 10-minute incident clock. When do we have to change plans? When, what I have to start to anticipate where this incident is going. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you find yourself you're not hearing any reports from fire attack, and this fire is still burning? Would you take it upon yourself to, hey, fire, get on that radio and say, what is going on? Or did you just?
I would just keep doing but I would, if the incident clock reached that point, and I hear, you got 10 minutes on the incident clock. That's 10 minutes of us, the fire suppression operation, and we're losing in an area.
Yeah.
That's
a long time. 10 minutes.
That's a long time. And that's when you have to start thinking in your mind, what's plan B going to be? What am I going to do? Because that's too long to have an incident objective that's not being met.
Yeah. A lot of secondary ventilation would be when your engine's not doing it. You have to find where they went in, and you have to give them support over them. They're obviously not getting to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
So I see so many truck companies forget that, hey, shit, your engine's having issues, and you've already done ventilation, direct over the fire ventilation. You got to go find out where they access that building is, and somehow cut over their access route to give them support and maybe get them closer, because it might just need to get to a corner somewhere. If they can get around a corner, then, oh shit, there it is,
Right.
I gotta ask, and it's happening within your agency. It's definitely happening across the country. I'd love to hear you guys' take on this whole, roof coordinate with fire attack, and how it's become the roof's not doing shit until the engine company said. That's really what it's becoming, where instead of this, hey, there's a working fire, that engine's off to the races, and we're off to the races to get to the roof to support them, and we do that. It's now become this, like Mark said, this mother may I. Maybe I answered my own opinion of it, but what are your takes on that?
Well, it was like that before we left, where some guys would say, oh, you have to wait till the engine company has access to the incident. And it's like, no, me and Mark, no, that's bullshit. We can cut if timing is that critical, then we can delay our pulling of the boards. We can certainly do that if that's something that we're mindful of. But yeah, I'm not going to not go up there and wait for, like you said, some kind of permission or someone to hit the start clock and go, okay, now it's time to go. It's like, no, this is too time critical. So So we're going to go up there, do whatever we do. Like you said, if we're shrewd enough to know that, hey, it's an attic fire. These guys are having issues getting in, which is just bad engineman stuff, you know. Just yeah, we might wait. We might wait and hold off and just kind of give it a minute. But I'm not going to wait for them to tell me to go because they may not say anything, and then where are we? You know. So.
Mhm.
I always I like to uh, have my engine captain as he's getting suited up at there. Usually they're going to push in, but I like a radio communication. If it's at all, we just have smoke pouring out of this thing. It used to be, hey, it's in the northeast corner. Now they have to do the ABC thing.
Yeah.
If you're heads up enough to give a blurb out, that's inside out conversation.
You're saying you as the guy on the roof.
If I'm listening for it and the engine company can make a statement,
they have a different view than we have. So it would be the guy on the roof that knows that, hey, shit, we got fire showing in the back. Looks like it's on the whatever you want to say, the D side,
I agree 100%.
But that's from the roof because we have a clear view of what they don't.
But see, again, that's inside out communication. That's the truck and the engine communicating with each other. Where nowadays the engine or the truck, they go out to the chief, and then the chief goes back to the guy. That's outside in.
Yeah.
That's
horrible.
And another listen to us talking to each other.
Another problem is, with the way there's 30 freaking calls a day, it's not your engine company. It's not someone that you live with or train with or drill. It's like some other clown.
100%.
And it's like, hey, where are you? I want some info. They don't do it. They're on they're satellite companies. They're just
yeah.
And if I could mention something to go back to a previous question, and that was about being up there and being roof division, you severely handicap that operator, especially on a more critical fire, that center hall, that commercial fire, when you start allowing people to come up and become roof division, because they said it and made it very clear. Their idea of what's supposed to go on there may be completely counterintuitive to what your company operation is. So you can get somebody up there start telling you, hey, we're doing this. And really, I, as the cutter, as being the first guy in my head, I'm roof division, fucker. You're my support system. You're my eyes. You're my safety guy. What do you need from us as the second due truck to help you establish what you're doing here in absence of your officer being up on that roof, right? So I think it creates a whole new set of issues, especially with the new fire system. And I say that within our own organization is you could have a guy that never rode other than as a firefighter. I'm not discounting that, but it takes a special person to have not been that rated guy. I think that's my opinion, and not at least have an idea of what that looks like to be in that position and come up with almost no experience and start becoming a roof division guy, right? So I think you're going to absolutely be that guy that's maybe a little bit more gun shy and unsure of themselves conducting the supposed roof division thing. And it's like, shit, are you going to handcuff me by coming up here being roof division? What I need you to do is I need you as a communication guy, right? As that other guy. That's what I need.
Let's back up, Mark. We've been the second truck on a freaking million roofs, right?
Yeah.
And that guy, that first guy, that roof division guy, just hey, some are okay, some are junk. So it's like if you guys are truck captains, you're a truck captain all the way through, man. I mean, you can say roof division is your radio guy over there, but you're still going to do all the same things to make sure your guys are doing the right thing, they're safe, all that stuff.
Well, Mark, you're describing is, clearly I agree with you. That was you, man, a very seasoned, experienced guy who, hear me out, but we're in a day and age where I think Captain Paxton or somebody said, guys are racing to the top, and you'll have this, 5-year AO who doesn't have a lot of fires under his belt, who wanted to just be an AO as quick as he could. And the expectation on that individual to have that kind of presence, know-how on the roof, It's not the norm these days. Not by a long shot. So,
Yeah, but I would say this, and the defense of that is two wrongs don't make a right. I mean, that's clearly right. Where when we're deciding that we're going to promote people up because they took the test, okay, like Cap Paxton said very early on, hey, has this guy got a rocket strapped to his ass, and is he going up to the top to make money and be the title, or is he spending time? And I say that only because you'll get guys that think they know something, and it shouldn't be an argument up there, right? It should just be, how do I fit in? I guess what I'm trying to describe is, how does that second truck fit into what's already going on there? It can be seamless, and you can make contact and say, hey, guy's done cutting. His guys are in there pulling. What do you need from us? Versus, hey, I'm roof division now, and it's like, wait a fucking minute. I mean, I hate to say it. It's like all of a sudden you don't know what I saw when I got here. I clearly beat you here, right? And I've done all these things to put me in the place of being out where that is. Experience levels are something I can't fix in the fire service. I can't. I don't care what rank it is.
well, it could conversely what Captain Malaise said. You might be secondary truck, and you got to go up there and unfuck that situation.
Yeah, I mean, and I say that, but again, I think that's a strong personality that has the fucking first thought, like you said, right? To just go, no, no, you're not going to come up here to cut a fucking hole behind me. That's bullshit, right? Or hey, we have a whole new set of plans here, and we don't have time to meet and confer like a fucking union contract. We don't, right? It's not going to be this thing where, well, here's my points that I'm trying to make, and here's his points. It's like, somebody's got to have the fucking stones to step up and go, that's fucked up. We're not doing it. Or keep going at what you're fucking doing. We're going to support you however we can. And I would say this is a learning thing, right? We're trying to present people with ideas so that they realize that, hey, they may not be the most experienced guy just because they wear that badge. I mean, hey, you might have a fireman that has that know-how and that experience to go, hey, God darn it. No, that's not what's going on here. And I get it. In today's fire service, you'd be basically, hey, we're going to have you up on charges, right? You're insubordinate. But that's the problem with the fire service is we're not taking the experience level and letting people that have that experience be vocal about it.
Well, it's just confidence in your job. I mean, if you're confident, you can tell no matter what rank it is.
Yeah.
No, that ain't right. Or, yep, that's perfect. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I guess that'll be a debate that'll go on forever, right? In the story.
Yeah. Hey, now that you guys are removed from your department for a while, you've been retired for a bit. Looking back at your old department specifically, what are you guys' feelings on how they're doing? What are they doing really well that you're proud of, or maybe what are some things that you think they could be working on?
I can't answer that. John's got family in the fire department, so he can.
I think that the number one problem that we're facing in LA came from COVID, and it just created a bunch of independent operators, guys coming to work and only caring about themselves. Where's their next overtime day going to come from? The department was sign hiring all the time. You got guys get assigned hired because they have to work because we're understaffed, and they bang in sick. And the book says that there's discipline that's supposed to go along with that, but they don't enforce it. So you just have guys, they're screwing each other. They don't care, if by them banging in sick or family illness because they got a sign hired, well, it's just going to go to somebody else, and that guy's going to get it, And this last weekend, my son, he gets a sign hired to ones. 4 guys out of Task Force 11, 4 guys got a sign hired because other guys had banged in sick. But so there's no sense of team.
Yeah.
There's no sense of, like, at the very minimum, it used to be you protected the 4 walls of your fire station. And if it meant that, man, I want to take this day off, it's my day off, but in order to keep the engine open, because as soon as the 4th guy they don't have anybody for it. They close the engine and send those guys all over the place, right? To fill for staffing. They have no loyalty to the fire station. No, I want this day off. And so now you've just got done hosing 3 of your brothers because they're going to now get split to the winds. In my opinion, that's the problem.
I'll say that it started before COVID. As I say, Bill Bamatri turned the fire service into a business model.
Yeah.
And, and you could just see right from there, it started going, the firemen complaining against their fellow workers. I mean, that just, come on, really?
Yeah.
Not saying that we didn't have fist fights in the fire station back in the day, but, it's like, hey, it was over. The fight was over as soon as it was over. And just, we went back to doing what we do, so.
Yeah. Yep. Because you ask yourself, where was that young fireman years ago when it's sitting in that interview to try to get a job, saying, "Oh man, I'll do whatever I can. I'm here for the team, and doggone it, they raised our right hand and they swore an oath before God to do the very best that they can for the people that are paying their salary. They don't give a shit anymore." I shouldn't say that. Not everyone. There are isolated firehouses around the city where the guys do.
But it seems like the culture has changed.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we couldn't wait to get to the fire station. We'd fucking drive 90 miles an hour to get there early. It's where we wanted to be.
Yeah.
Seems like old lessons have to be relearned as well.
Yeah, it's so sad. Because the station captains, the company commanders, they have a lot to do with that because they're right there. They're within arm's distance of those guys, So.
Any closing advice from either of you? Any closing advice for young
suicide?
Yeah.
That shit.
Young firemen listening.
Oh, young firemen? Yeah, like I said, I mean, I came up. So here's a funny thing that I could talk about. So when me and Johnny were studying for captain, there was a chief officer that had the 5 absolutes, and it was kind of like 5 absolutes of discipline. But it kind of opened up your mind into, that is so good that I'm going to do a 5 absolutes of training and do my 5 personal absolutes. I mean, you end up writing down stuff that, hey, you know what? Yeah, there are things that are non-negotiable, and I'm going to write those down on a piece of paper, and I can share it with the guys if they want or not. I can have it, and that's my philosophy. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to hit it hard, and I'm not going to fucking vary from it.
God, Paxton, any closing advice?
Leave your baggage at the gate when you pull in. You owe it to them, your crew. If you don't believe that, just take a step back at your first holiday that you have as an officer and look at those little kids that are running around. You owe it to them to train them, their dads, and to have them safe and effective. Listen. I think a lot of times people don't listen to your guys. Hear them out. That's pretty much all we really want. Really, is to be heard. You're the captain for everybody, not just your favorites on the crew. You have to be the captain for everyone, and that's difficult for guys to do because they have their favorite truck guys, and they'll be manipulated by the firemen if you let them. You got to be own your own mistakes. When you screw the pooch, be man enough to talk about it and say you did it and learn from it. And I guess that's it. Be fair, always work to get better. That's the key. Be that 10%, as West Coast offense says. Be that 10% that's always striving to get better.
Well, and another thing I was thinking about when you're saying about, I'm on the outside looking in. but it seems like the department is risk averse, and risk averse it does not equate to safety. It does not equate to
Right.
safety. And you have to let your guys know that, hey, training, experience, knowledge, all of those reps that we've talked about in the last couple hours is that's how you stay safe, and just being good at your job.
Yeah. Yeah, we get a lot of young officers that are scrolling through that ridiculous risk management. There has 3 of these giant paragraphs, on there, and if they just would stop, ask themselves, is my company in the right place, doing the right thing, and can I tolerate the amount of risk that we're being exposed to? Keep it there, and we get too wrapped up on all these risk management. I think it's risk tolerance, not management.
I think we lie to ourselves
Yeah.
with that type of thing, or lie to the outside world just to make it seem like we're, I don't know.
Yeah, and it gives an out, a very easy out. Oh, hey, there's nobody in there.
Yeah.
There's no one in there. But
Such a thing.
that's where people come to earn a living. We owe it to them to go in there and put that fire out, and because that's where they earn a living, and we forget that.
Mhm.
I don't mean risk the same amount that you would if you're going in there to effect a rescue, but we still got to push in. We still got to push in and go put the fire out.
Yeah, but I'm going to go back to where I said, hey, we're not on a death wish. We're doing our operations based on our knowledge and experience. I mean,
Property still matters.
I laugh at the guys that talk about driving faster to a structure fire than they were to a bone run. That's just not true. You drive safe no matter what.
Right.
And the fact that guys will risk more when there's a person or kid to save and stuff like that. I don't get those kinds of discussions, because it's like, no, I'm gonna save that kid if I can.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can't, I mean, I understand the limitations of what we do. We're humans in that situation,
Yeah.
and that's why when we look at the East Coast and how some of their operational stuff is, and we criticize the dog shit out of them, just because, yeah, they're really putting the cart before the horse, and it's like, hey, you know what? If you go A, B, C, D, then you're gonna be okay when you actually find that person that you can grab on, rescue, and pull out of the fire. You're not just rolling the dice and hopefully like the stairwell that collapsed on that guy. I think it was in New York. Got killed today. He's like, yeah, he was doing the solo work, kind of rescue someone, but. And there's no telling if he had a hose line if that would have happened, but
Yeah.
we'll never know. When stuff like that happens, we'll never know.
Yeah. Kind of along that line, I kind of believe too, we are always thinking about what can my company accomplish? What can we do? I think there's times when you get into a situation, you're coming in and maybe you don't know the guys that you're working with and stuff. You have to consciously think about, what can we not do? What's my limit? What I'm not going to try to do with this group.
Be able to call it a loser, as Mark says.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't bring victims to the incident. I mean, that's
right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's not okay. It's not okay to get hurt, and it's not okay to die.
Yeah.
That's guys.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. Well, we've been going now for about 2.5 hours.
I know Mark looks like he's going to pass out.
Hey, it's closer to bedtime than it was for awake time. So
I really appreciate both of you coming on our show and sharing the advice and the stories that you had today. Any closing thoughts from anybody else? Mark?
Thank you, guys. Thanks, captains.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity.
I think the perspective is pretty cool that their same department and study partners to top it off, right? But to have a different idea, not so far away that we're going, hey, this is black and this is white, but you can see there's obviously different management styles that equal that they want the same outcome, right? And I think that's a good thing within whatever department you're working for, is to have that somebody brings something different there, or a different saying, or a different way of doing it. But the accomplishment is the end goal is the accomplishment, right? How are we going home? Like you said, brought these people here, and we're taking them all home in the same condition they came in, and did what we were supposed to do.
Right.
Simple.
Yeah, leadership is very complex. I mean, I know we teach it at in-service training and stuff like that, but I mean, if it were, there's thousands of books written on it. If it was that simple, there'd be one book written on it, and so
Sure.
so it's a matter of the guy that wants to be a leader, that wants to learn how to develop this, because you got to be some intrinsic stuff inside to be a leader. And I'm not saying captain leader, I'm just saying leader from bottom to top, and then you have to want it. So you have to study, and you have to learn, and you have to develop, and
There's such a push towards, a movement away for a company officer from those, hey, this is what we do, this is how we do business, to, hey, you need to learn and stroke these individual personalities and bring them to you. And it's you can get lost in that these days, because you're trying to,
Colin, guys are different than they were when we came on. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's why a place like 11's was better for me, because those guys didn't really want to go there. So unless they got transferred there against their will, they weren't there. So I didn't have to worry about group hugs and the kind of stuff you're saying, the Generation Xers or whatever they are, Z or something now. But I mean,
well, what I've learned, though, Cap, is what I'm bringing it back to is you need to know your individual people, but at the end of the day, you'll find yourself, you know what? Pause. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Regardless,
People can work. If you're consistent, people can work with that.
Mhm.
Right. Right. But it's, the fire service hasn't kept up with society. We have all these modern people that have all these complex feelings and stuff, but we're still lifting ladders. We're still pulling hose and pumping water through hose and cutting roofs. We're still doing it like we did 200 years ago. The job still requires, you got to get down and dirty, man. And you got to pitch in, and it's got to be all hands on deck and the team pulling in one direction. And it's hard for you guys now managing people that's not what they're used to.
Yeah.
Just step up to the challenge. Try to change them. You can't change them. You can influence them.
Yeah.
They haven't made it easy when they are bribing people to take a test these days. We are in such a different world.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anyway,
they're just bean counters. Remember, they're just looking for spots to be filled, warm bodies. They don't care who that warm body is.
Yeah.
No, we know that. We've seen that. It's like, hey, look,
$3,500 signing bonus to take the test.
Do you want the best people, or do you just want people? We just take people.
Wow. Hey,
Well, thank you. Thank you again.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you, Captain Malay,
For the
Captain Paxton on. Thanks everybody else for tuning in and listening to us talk, and we'll catch you on our next episode.